Hi everyone, it's Philippa of Flipcat Craft. Welcome back to my channel. Today I've got something a little bit different. I did a workshop, in fact 2 workshops last week, and I just thought I'd show you what I made and also show you what I've got. So I was really fortunate. My local craft store, support your local craft store, had a weekend of workshops by Antonis Tzanidakis, I think, who has the Sir Vagabond line for Stamperia. And it was really exciting, and it was, look, a very long day. I did a workshop in the morning from 10 till 2, and then a second one from 3 till 7 in the evening. But I hadn't been unsure if I'd stay for the full second workshop, but I did end up staying, and I'm really glad I did. And what we got in the first, well, we got the Sir Vagabond Aviator scrapbooking set, 10 double-faced papers. We got the collectibles, which are like cut aparts and things like that. We got a chipboard set, and then we got in the second we got the album, which I'll show you in a minute, and some silicone molds, some items made from silicone that have been molded. And then in the second workshop we got some extra books to go in the folder. So I'll show you all that now, but I just wanted to explain for those who don't know. So Vagabond is an aviator. I guess kind of a time traveler because he appears at different time periods, but he's been in multiple collections by Antonis, and each time he's in a different location, so a different themed country. So I think this one is in New York or going to America, and the one before this was in Japan, and I can't remember where the one before that. But this is the first one I've actually got. I've kind of been looking at it for a while. I'm like, oh, I can't justify it. I've got so many scrapbooking papers I need to use. So this was really exciting to be able to do this workshop. And for me, it was the first one I've done since I broke my arm. I haven't been able to go to my art journaling classes and things. And look, it was a very long day, but I was really excited to be able to do it. So just to flick through, I mean, obviously I've got remnants that I've cut, but just to give you an idea of the sorts of things, lots of labels, which is on the back of the front cover, so they're not double-sided. Then you've got, you know, the man in his flying machine. On the back of that is like a map of New York. Here we've got the lady aviator. Can't remember her name. Oh yeah, Navia Arian. She's appears in a few of the images, and on the back is kind of a bit of a steampunky vibe. This was another one of Sir Vagabond, but he got cut up because we were using stuff from the back, which was you know, a bit of a collage sheet. And then these are the ones I didn't use because I wanted to keep them for a steampunk kind of thing. But there's like a very steampunky looking aeroplane with more maps on the back. These are like tag cut aparts. We did use one, but then there's obviously others, and like nice. We used something like that, you'll see, but from a different sheet. And then, you know, there's airplanes, but like there's lots of rotor blades and that kind of thing. So if you wanted to fussy cut them, you could. We did actually fussy cut some, but from a different sheet. And then that's almost, you know, blueprinty kind of thing. Love that. And then these are like paper dolls. I cut them out, and they're just single-sided, and the back is just the back of the book. So that's the 12 by 12 papers. I'll just move them out of the way. Also, here are some of the other bits that, you know, so there's a big clock. I tried to cut these so that I could use the rest of the paper wisely. There's a sheet that was Brooklyn. Oh, that was the one, the lady, you see her. I think that's the other half of the lady. This one here, I used that for inside cover, but I wanted to keep her intact so I can use her for something else, because I think that's a great image, whether I end up using it like that or a fussy cut. Oh, I don't want a fussy cut, but I could fussy cut it. here's a gear that I didn't end up using that I probably should have. Anyway, so that's that. And then, oh yeah, there was a sheet of 6 cut aparts. And we used 3 in the second class. So these were the 3 that I didn't use, but obviously they're ready to be used on another project. And then we have a book of, oh, it's paper everywhere, the book of the collectibles, as they're called. Obviously I've already cut some of this. So the inside cover here is interesting because it's got this kind of like metal looking sheet with rivets and things. We actually cut part of this out and used it in our project in a way that's really cool. So I'll show you that. I just wanted to explain that it actually comes from a bigger sheet, and I hadn't thought of using it in that kind of way, but that's a really cool technique to just like cut apart bits like this and use it on your binding or whatever as sort of riveted metal. This is double-sided signs and images, so we use the double-sided Sir Vagabond as part of the project, flying. And again, these are double-sided aeroplanes. You could just use them as tear them out, or you could fussy cut them. I think that'd actually be quite annoying to fussy cut. These ones are also double-sided, so that's the Aviator again, with other bits and pieces. These are more cut apart. They're not double-sided, so they've just got a floral pattern on the back, but I quite like these. And these are little tags, again with a floral pattern on the back. A mix of Sir Vagabond and Navier, I think her name was, and scenes from New York, vintage scenes from New York. And then here's some vintage Brooklyn and New York images. These ones are double-sided, so you could fussy cut them. Here we get into the clocks with a pattern on the back. And these were the more fussy cuts, so it's mostly clothing, aviator style clothing, but we did have to cut out several of the rotor blades, which was very fun, if you know my feelings on fussy cutting. And these are license plates from New York. We used them in both sessions, and on the back was just a plain pattern. And then we get into the dirigibles, which again are on a pattern that looks like rusted aged metal. And there's just another nice pattern, and that's the back cover. So there's a lot of pages left. There's a lot of potential for great steampunk kind of things. I've just kind of been thinking about it. I'm about to move house, so I haven't really done a lot of crafting this week. I've just been packing things up, but I just wanted to show you what I've got here, because I think this will be making, sorry, I'm just picking things up. This will be making a bit of an appearance in a junk journal, or ephemera at least. And this is why it's left over from my class. And now, without any further ado, I'm going to move this out of the way and I'm going to show you my project. So this is our folder, show you front and back, and inside we have 3 books. So I will show you quickly what we've got. So we have images from the 12 by 12 papers, mostly on the cover. That's, I mean, and some of it's hard to see, but it was like cutting images out, layering them with chipboard to give them dimension. These are the silicone molds I mentioned that we painted. Of course, painting is part of the line, coloured paints. So this is kind of terracotta coloured, which I quite like. These ones were painted grey, which is industrial. This is the rotors I mentioned, the fussy cut. I think that 3rd chipboard gear was supposed to go there or something. I'm not sure. More like Times Square, one way, things like that. They're all painted in New York. Yeah, so I'm quite happy with that, and I'll explain the dark colour in a minute. Now this is that metal looking piece I mentioned. And it's just the same width as the spine, which is very clever, given, you know, he designed both. Oh, I forgot. We've actually covered it in material that goes with the collection. And I didn't do a good job of that. I'll have to stick some of it down again. But I really like the material. I think it comes in a pack of 4. And I've covered one on the front and one on the back. We were given 2 as part of the class, but as you can see, it's lifting, so I'm going to re-stick those. But yeah, so I've got one, and we were told that the one on the front would be less visible, so I put one with a pattern, more of a pattern on the back. So I put one with the aeroplanes and things on the back, and as you can see, I've got wrinkles. That's just adds character. On the back, this is another one of those silicone molded shapes, gears, and it's on a stacked gear, chipboard gear that I painted. We've got license plates that I showed you. And this is the double-sided Sir Vagabond. Know what I'm saying. And this was the strip I mentioned. It was from a border, from a page, but we just put it along there. And it's also here, underneath this. Now, in terms of technique, we did a lot of coating with like a sealant. And that was so that we could use this, they call it an antiquing medium, and or antiquing stain, and you rub it on of everything, so it was like a dark brown color, and then with a baby wipe you remove it, and it's in the cracks and things. Look, I like the effect, but I don't know I'd use it again. It's oil paint. I asked if it was burnt umber, and he said it was partway between burnt umber and Van Dyke brown, so it's kind of a unique color. But I do have burnt umber oil paint. I don't use it a lot. I mostly use it for in decor crackle, and then you rub in burnt umber, and then you get linseed oil on a cloth and remove everything except in the cracks. This was really messy. I'm still washing my paintbrushes in Terps a week later, and while I like the effect, I don't feel that I like it enough to keep doing it. I saw Vicky Papa, I can't think of her name, but I'll link it below. She actually had a video using it that I saw today. So if you want to see someone actually using the technique, I'll check out her video. But she painted something like pink and cream, and then put the antiquing medium over it, and then removed it. But you can't see that it's pink and cream. Like, I guess that's part of, it's like, why did we spend so much time painting and sealing and all this kind of stuff when you can't even see the colors anymore? Anyway, so that's just my thought on it. I don't mind it, but for me, it was a lot of work, and I'm okay. You know, I could just have sponged distress stain or whatever over it, and I feel I would have got a similar effect with less work and less turpentine in my house. So that's just me. These obviously don't move, they're glued down, but it's kind of a dimensional effect. The lady had very, very wispy curls that went out, but I trimmed them down because they were really annoying to fussy cut. Yeah, other than that, I'm quite happy. Back, obviously, I mean, you can see there I've kind of worn it where I've wiped it off. But other than that, you can see a bit more, but it takes about, they said 3 to 5 days for the oil paint to fully dry. So I could have come home and removed more of it myself, but I didn't. And this grey here is actually stenciling, but Antonis did it for us. He just grabbed everyone's folders and just did a little bit of stenciling there. And also there was some on the front, but you can't see it once we've layered all the images up. So again, you know, sometimes you just think, well, I know it's there, it's a secret, but that's cool. Inside, this was one of the papers I mentioned, like a New York City map. And then the inside back cover, part of a clock. We did the same thing, we sealed it a lot, and then we did the stain, and obviously the bits where you can see that it took there. Apparently here I didn't use enough sealant, and that's why the paper went brown. I don't mind the effect. I think that I'm going to put like a pocket maybe here, along here, so I don't obscure the building, Empire State Building. I'll see. But overall, I'm really happy with it. It's kind of not my color palette. I do like vintage, but I'm kind of more burgundies, and this is more yellows and reds. That's okay. I'll tell you what I did in the second session to try and reclaim it a little bit when I get to that. But overall, the first session, decorating the cover, was a lot of fun. And if you ever get the opportunity to do it, I'd say go for it. You know, if you like this style of artwork and you want to learn the techniques, go for it. And like, just because I said I don't think I do the antiquing, I know how to do it, and who knows, I might use it. Some people didn't really do the face much because they didn't want it to go dark. I kind of did it, and then I took it off because yeah. But honestly, when you put this on, it's such a dark brown all over. It's kind of like that dark color all over. I'm like, oh, this work that we've done, fussy coloring and layering, and and then you remove it. Anyway, so it was a really fun workshop. Highly recommend. Oh, this is the other thing. This is supposed to go like here or something. Maybe there. Maybe there. I didn't put this down because there was actually a really big lump that had like overspilled the mold, and it didn't sit flat. And so Antonis is like, oh, so like imperfections bother you? I'm like, well, this one does. And then he looked at it and went, oh, sorry, I didn't realize it was that bad. And then I said, yeah, like I've tried snapping it off, but it's not coming. And he said, oh, that's because it's silicone. I'm like, oh, okay, what do I do? And he said, heat it up with a heat tool, and then when it's hot, break it off. So I actually did that. So you can see that it's actually a different color there where I've snapped it off, but that's okay, because when I glue it down, you won't know. And these molds we only painted on one side. This one we painted on both sides because you'll be able to see it, but it's supposed to go something like that, and then you can actually open it. But I think this is one of those bits that we'd have to put chipboard or something down because it's not gonna sit flat when you glue it. Anyway, so that's that. So I will get to that at some point. Anyway, then we did the internals for the second one, which was 3 of these books. They are stone paper, I think you called them. I don't know what that is, but I saw Vicky using some in one of her videos, and she was able to do stuff on the paper without prepping it. So I'll have to read up more on that. I was going to this week before I did the video, but that didn't happen. Anyway, so they're on elastics, and there's actually a 4th elastic at the back for an extra book of some kind. So I guess this is like a traveler's notebook, which I guess makes sense with the theme. Anyway, we prepped the different books and we painted them different colors. So that one's an olive green. That's what they call red, but it's kind of an orange, brick red, I think. And then there's corn, which is like a yellow. And we had different techniques for each book. So this book, we had to like prep and remove things and get patterning and patinaing kind of stuff going on. So that was interesting. So one we did a mold on, one we did crackle paste on, and one we did a stencil on. And the stencils were really cool. Like they're a theme for the collection, but I really like this kind of steampunk one that had like cogs and gears and direction and aviator stuff. And so I would, I did like that. So on this one, and also you might see that instead of edging everything in vintage photo the way I was supposed to do, I've gone back to my aged mahogany. So I'm adding those hints of pink in just to try and break up the orange that I felt was just overwhelming. And I also felt that if I'd used the vintage photo, which as I've mentioned before, I find quite yellow, it just would not have been something I would ever use. It would just, between the orange and the yellow and the vintage photo, it would just be brown, yellow, brown. But, so here, this was white, it's falling off, white moulding paste, and I painted it yellow to go with the green book. And then what I've done is I've used my rose gold metal wax just to highlight a few bits. I mean, I think I dry brushed it with another color first, maybe the green. I think they told me to do that, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to put my wax on. I've also put some wax over the edge, and on the back I've put it over some of the just lightly over some of the crackle. Oh no, this is not the crackle one. That's not the crackle one. And just around the edges of a couple of the street signs and things. And that's just adding a color that's me. As you can see, I'm wearing my rose colored jumper that I often wear when I'm filming. It's because I'm in a very cold room, and yeah, so I really like that. I'm gonna have to do something to stick because of the mold. I'm gonna have to do something. I think I have to use my Helmar glue or something to stick this down because it is lifting already. But yeah, so these books inside, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Maybe just use them like an art journal. Oh yeah, so this is the middle pages are filthy. That's the antiquing medium. Yeah, so that happened. So it's not like I could really give it to anyone, but yeah, I think I'll just kind of treat it like an art journal. I'll read out more about what this stone paper is because I don't really know, and then I'll just maybe just do some more decoration and projects and stuff. I've been doing a lot of ephemera making over the last couple of weeks, so you can use it there. This was the second book. This is the one that we used the crackle paste on. I painted my one orange, and as I said, I've used a bit of the metallic wax over some of the crackle. I put the crackle on really thin, so I think that's why it didn't crack very much. There's a little bit, but the thicker you put it, the more it cracks. I should point out that I was working a bit slower than everyone else because my arm is still quite sore, although I'm getting more mobility. So I've used the wax on the chipboard, unlike the ones on the front. I didn't paint them grey. They were still kind of a chipboardy colour, but I put this on top. I've also got some actual metallic chipboard from I think a Prima collection, and I've just edged the number plates. Now, this is actually a really big number plate, and I cut it in half because I want it going off the page, and I've used the other half elsewhere. And over here, yeah, you can see a little bit of the crackle. This one has is a lot more textured, and also some of the people went really dark with their antiquing paste, but I had already had the splattering effects going on that I really liked, so I didn't go too dark because I wanted them to still be visible. And this is, I think it's probably my favourite of the effects, the stencil paste. Navier, looking fabulous. Got some cogs and gears on, number plates. This is actually a strip of the paper. And it's because as I was putting this on, I was like, hang on, I've seen that World's Greatest Aviator quote before. And then I looked and found it on the material, and it actually says New York, welcome, in New York, we welcome the World's Greatest Aviator. So I just put it down just because I tied in. Also lifted the yellow a bit. And yeah, so the modelling paste, or I think it is, or stencil paste, took on the colour when we antiqued it, and then I've added extra colour in some bits with the rose gold wax. And I think this is the one on the back, yeah, because there was more design on the back. So that's the other half of that number plate that I cut off. And then I just smeared some more wax around, and I really like this mottling effect. And also some people, as I said, made theirs really dark, but you couldn't even tell that it had been yellow. I thought, well, what's the point of spending all that time, you know, painting it with 2 coats of yellow paint and all that kind of stuff if you can't even tell that you've done it, you know? So that's kind of what I did. Very happy with it. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but I think I'll just maybe even make it a technique book or something. I don't know. I have to see what's going on here. I might have to just move that to the back or something. Anyway, so this is my 2 workshops with Antonis from Stamperia. It's the Sir Vagabond, is it New York? It's the Sir Vagabond Aviator Collection. Lots of great vintage and steampunk kind of images, and lots of fun. So if you get the opportunity to go to one of these kinds of classes, whether it's with Antonis or someone else, it's definitely worth checking out. You learn some great techniques, you have great fun with, you know, other local crafters, and you get lots of bits and pieces to take home with you afterwards. Anyway, that's it from me today. So thanks for watching. If you've got any feedback, or if you've done a similar kind of class, let me know. And if you've got a video of what you made in a class with the Aviator Collection, let me know, because I'd love to see what other people did. It was really interesting seeing what my classmates did, because we were obviously all doing exactly the same thing in terms of technique and products, but everyone's turned out quite different, which is kind of part of the fun. Anyway, that's it from me. Like, comment, subscribe, and I look forward to catching up with you next time. Bye.